we kind of left it. So I went back and called her a week later based on this goal and said, after we had our conversation, I had forgotten to talk to you about one of the things, and I talked about my growth is really built around referrals. Do you know anybody else who might be, able to use my services based on the conversations we've had together? And she's like, it's funny you say that. My sister is moving out of her house. And I was like, so you're going to tell your sister how great I am? It's kind of, and she's like, absolutely. And I did it kind of, tongue in cheek. And she said, absolutely. Sure. Let me reach out to her. And it's like, well, can I get her phone number too? And she emailed it to me, and we're playing phone tag right now.
Wow.
So that's that was somebody who I couldn't help, and we had built a nice relationship, but unfortunately her numbers weren't there yet. Right. And even though she makes good money, she just wasn't ready yet where she wants to live was out of her reach. And so she was going to be a nice lead down the road in the pipeline.
Sure.
But I think but at the same time, it was refreshing to be. I had no fear of calling back to the client and using that apology approach, because I hadn't done it up front, and so that was one of them. And I got another one who I called, we're working through some credit issues, who said he also has a cousin who's moving to Austin, and next month, and he wants to put me in touch with him because he wants to buy a house. So that's more of a longer term kind of, I don't know, it's more of a softer lead still, but it's still something that is promising out of the 15 leads that I have developed during this month. So that's two just from those calls. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to get more out of the ones that I have, because I've got others working that I haven't even been able to get hold of yet.
So here's a success story that I had happen to me recently, and I've been out of managing my practice since 2013. And Dave, you and I may have even had this conversation last week. I don't recall. The truth is that I had a client of mine that I was able to help navigate them through the home buying process all the way up into the point where we had to get her credit report repulled. And when we went to repull it, she had missed a payment by an accident, and it crushed her opportunity to buy a house. That was over 4.5 years ago. 2 weeks ago, she reached out to me and said, hey, you did such a great job for me when I tried to buy the house last time. Now that my credit's back together, I would love a chance to be able to come back to you if you'd want to work with me again. Like, she's asking me if I would want to work with her again. Sure enough, Shannon and her fiance are back in the mix because of conversations and the effort that I put into the initial consultation. Dave, to your point earlier, when you talk about how many people that you're working with, helping them rebuild credit, and the reason I asked whether or not it was something that you want to focus on, sometimes in the beginning of our businesses, dealing with those weak and weary type clients aren't always a bad thing. Not because you can't help them out right away, but because if you appropriate the conversation the correct way and you plant that seed, they can become advocates of your business more so than those people that close a loan within 30 to 40 days of meeting you, because many of them know when they show up to your doorstep, they already know that they have challenges. And most people who do what we do don't care. They have too much other business to worry about, and so this becomes just the byproduct of having too much business, and they never get the attention they deserve. You can create some raving fans out of doing these credit repairs, especially if you leverage the conversation of most people won't do this for you. Most people don't have the background or the experience or the patience, and it can be very rewarding. One of the smallest loans that I ever did was about a $33,000 loan back in, let's say it was like in 2001 or 2002. She was a secretary for a guy that owned several auto transmission shops. What was the name of it? I forget it's multi-state transmissions. Because of my relationship working with her and closing a $33,000 mortgage, he needed a loan, and he was a non-conforming loan. So back in 2001, I was able to do it. That loan that I did for that gentleman, because of the nature of the loan itself, That was my biggest loan payday that I'd ever received on any loan, and to this date, any loan that I've ever done.
That's
Do you
cool.
see that? Do you see the value of what you're doing as a great leveraging tool?
Totally.
So what I want to focus a little bit more on today is, so you guys have been making the calls to your current clients, and I know that we had a contest about a month ago, and there's a few people that did make the call today. Dave, how many leads are you at for the month since we started the contest?
Oh, I don't even know.
You don't know? Okay.
Yeah, I know what I have week to week, but I'm not following. Sorry,
Okay.
I don't know right now.
Okay. I would love to know, if you get a second, if you get some time, send me an email. I'd love to know how many leads you got between the 13th of last month and this month, roundabout.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Kason, you've gotten 15 leads, correct?
15, that's right. I go with 17.
Yep. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about where those leads came from, the breakdown?
Sure. So looking at the numbers, I think, let's see, I had 2 past client referrals. I had 10 from realtors, and 2 from friends of friends and or friends and family. I don't know how to or whatever. I guess that's the classification we want to put them in. That I had reached out to. So that was, basically, reminding people what I do.
Yep.
Which is important, because I think that you had kind of reminded me how important it is that, when you talk about referrals, the easiest referral to get is the person you know, from somebody you know. So I had gone back to that group. So I think that the mix, obviously the largest was from my realtor group. And that is primarily maybe 4 realtors out of that whole that we were providing for the majority of those leads.
Okay. What about the 2 referrals that you got from the clients that you just described a second ago? Where did they fall?
They're working. I didn't want to count them as leads because I hadn't gotten a phone number yet. So I was kind of like, my gauge for a true lead is I need to have their name and their phone number or email address. Okay. Because I can't get hold, if I can't get hold of them, they're not really a lead.
Right. Totally with you. So talk to me about how many of those leads out of the 15 or 14 leads that you have, how many of them turned into actual applications that you've actually taken and got signed? Sure.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you want to count the ones that we had declined? That we got applications for that were declined too, or just the applications that are still working?
Well, I'm only concerned about the ones that are actually closable loans. So whether they're closing this month, next month, 90 days.
I have 4 out of the 15 that are in that state right now.
Okay. 4 out of the 15. Okay.
Yep.
So
they're actually shopping. They're actually shopping right now.
Yep. So that's about a what, 26, 27% conversion rate?
About that.
Say that again?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. So what that means is, and it's amazing to me how many times I've had these conversations and how much this 30% rule plays into reality. It is almost a foregone conclusion that out of the number of leads that you get a month, you will, by natural conversations, convert 30%. You will be plus or minus 5% either way, but as an average, historically, you convert 30% of your leads. The other 60, 70% of the leads that are coming in every month usually end up being transactions that are pushed out longer than 90 days, don't have the credit to do it, don't have the money to do it, or for some reason, shape, or form, don't become doable deals.
Right.
Obviously, Dave's situation with Zillow is going to be a lot higher, but ultimately what you want to get to is a place where if you want to close 4 to 5 loans a month, you know that you're going to have to bring in 15 to 20 leads a month in order to make that happen. The reality for me is the point of the contest that we had was really this. I wanted you guys to get used to tracking your leads. I wanted you to get used to knowing where your business is coming from. So right now, case in your business right now is really heavy in realtors. So
Right.
your pillar or your primary focus has been on agents. So you do that really, really well with the 3 to 4 agents that refer you. Out of those 4 transactions, where did those 4 come from? Did they all come from your realtor base?
So let's see, 2 came from realtors, 3 came from realtors, 1 came from friends and family.
Okay, so you have 2 past client referrals that didn't turn into anything.
Yes. Well, they haven't gotten an application in yet. They're still kind of out there.
Okay.
So they aren't dead. But these have turned into something.
Right. So what I'm doing, though, is I want you to look at it from a month-to-month basis because of the reason when we start tracking this from an annual basis, you'll know what months are slower and what months aren't. So, for example, we have a loan officer of ours who blanked in February, didn't have a single loan closed in February. So I went back to her and I said, what were you doing in October and November? She said, my November was really slow from a lead point because I had more business in November than I knew what to do with, and I knew I was going to be crazy busy in December trying to close it. So that meant that in her busyness in December and in November, she didn't generate enough leads to be able to close any loans for February because she had focused purely on her realtor business.
Sure.
Now, I get that that's a great pillar, but if you haven't diversified your business from the standpoint of looking at other sources to generate leads from, like your past client, your friends and family, affiliated relationships, and whomever else that you want to pull business from, I would think that you should be generating at least 10% of your database in leads every month. So if you have 100 people in your database, you should be generating at least 1 to 2 leads out of your database a month. Okay. So 10% a year. You should be getting 10% of your closed loan volume from your database every single year.
Yep.
Which means that if you use that rule of 30%, I misspoke a second ago, it wouldn't be 1 to 2 leads a month. It would be closer to 2 to 3 leads a month. Your database should be yielding you 2 to 3 leads a month. Whether they close the month that you get them in or not, it's still a lead that converts to a transaction down the road. So when I look at your lead tracker, it sounds to me like you spend a lot of time with your realtors, which is great, or they refer you, but you can be significantly stronger with your friends and family and your past clients. And I'm curious to know what strategy you have in place to pull more business out of your past clients.
Well, I've been working through the past client list. My past client list, I've only been in the business for about a little less than 3 years. And so my past client base is been a mixed bag. I've got probably only about, 60 in there, 30 in, 40 in there, 45.
Okay.
So I've been working that list strong.
It shows.
And
2 leads a month. Yep. 2 leads this month. So that's a better conversion ratio than you should be getting.
Yeah. So at the same time, I am in contact with them because I have so few. I'm trying to maintain that list. In fact, I got another one that came through that didn't qualify from that list. So I had leads that came in, one that didn't qualify. It might qualify 6 months from now, but right now he doesn't qualify. But he came from that list too, and he was from that referral from my past client list. What I am doing right now is staying in touch with those people. They are on a drip campaign, one thing, so they see my name at least once a month, if not once a week. And because I try to kind of grade where those people are, and then I'm basically calling through that list at least once through the quarter. So I'm trying not to call them too often because I think
once a quarter is fine. Once a quarter is perfect.
Based on the number that I have. That's very easily achievable. That's my goal. So that's my plan of attack for my my current client base.
Okay, for your past client base.
Yes.
Right. So the other part of it that you haven't listed on here because you haven't actually sealed the lead yet would be the current client referral, the CCRs.
Yes, the current client referrals, the ones that are on my list that we created, right, for this contest.
Right.
That's the people that I'm contact. These are the people that I called through last week per our goal to go back and get referrals from them, and those are the ones I'm still kind of working to get the action from.
Yep. But can you see that when you take a look at your business right now, if you look at your pipeline of lead in your lead activity, you can see that if you wanted to spend more time generating more business, you seem to be really good with 3 to 4 realtors. Do you want to build relationships with more realtors? Do you seek that, or do you want to look at other avenues in your business to generate more leads from a different source so that you're not so realtor heavy?
I don't want to be heavy in any one thing because because of the timing and the season that will impact me in different times of the year.
So if you look back at your activity level for the past 2 weeks, what have you done the most of? Have you been calling most of? I mean, what have you done the most of over the last 2 weeks?
I have done a mix of both the current client list our current lead list, right?
Yep.
And I've done and realtor lunch and trying to have coffee with realtors based on the POR programming from Carl and that programming.
Yep. Have you reached out to how many transactions do you have in process as it stands right now? Like how many purchase transactions do you currently have under contract?
I'm not under contract right now. These are all waiting on these homes right now. I had 2 fall out this week.
Oh, 2 fall out? Man.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm not real happy about that.
Okay. So anyway,
go ahead.
Does anybody have any success with creating opportunities with the listing agent on the other side of the transaction for purchase transactions?
I haven't yet, and that's one of the things that we were I was actually just talking with my team, with Kellen actually, about calling into the current contract base and following up with them as part of the email change, because I've got 2 closings next week, and that I kind of wanted to I'm gonna reach out to them right after the closing to say, hey, how did we do? And use that as an introduction, because I have not introduced myself yet, which is something I should have done. So I'm going to take the opportunity of a good close, and a close on time, if not early, that we did this week, because our team's so awesome, that going to call ahead and say, hey, how did we do? Do you have time to meet? And have to get that belly to belly.
Right. Excluding Larissa that's on the call, Dave and Kason both, you guys have exceptional support teams in your offices that provide you the ability of really not having to spend a lot of time in the trenches of your files. Is that fair?
That's fair. Totally.
Yeah. I would tell you one of the greatest missteps that we make in our business is our failure to realize that the listing agent is a great, viable opportunity that nobody taps into. I can't tell you how many times I've had a conversation with a listing agent who says, I don't ever get a loan officer to call on me. I don't ever get a loan officer that thinks that, that I'm worthwhile to talk to, because most LOs don't even provide the listing agent with updates. They get updates from either a team or an email, and they don't do any kind of interaction with them to yield any kind of an opportunity there. And I've never really understood it, because I think that the opportunity to call on the listing agent is so much better than picking up a list of 12 realtors that are just in your marketplace and trying to call them to convince them to work with you.
Yep.
So one of the LOs that we work with one of the LOs that we have down in Jupiter, Florida, has seen a tremendous surge in his business because he's working on his listing agent transactions, and he's treating them as a pillar of his business. And so he's articulated his value in a different way, and he's starting to see some great results out of it because of a few things that we do here corporately, and Kellen Vaughn's team does, and I know that Craig Bland's team's done. You guys don't realize, because you're not really out there in the marketplace, that compared to most of the companies that are out there, our process of closing loans and how quickly we do it is really unmatched. Does anybody know what our current turnaround time is for underwriting? Does anybody?
I think we're around We're in 24 hours for turning our underwriting around. I mean, they're moving them pretty quick once those files get in.
Do you know what the average is of every lender that we've talked to that is interested in joining our firm has been?
For underwriting turnaround?
Yep.
Probably 4 days.
7 to 14.
Wow.
7 to 14 days for underwriting turn times. When you tell a realtor that you're going to be able to close at or under 30 days, and that's a listing agent that you talk to, you have absolute right to demand that you have a chance to sit down and meet with them. And I don't think you wait until after closing. I think you wait for them to acknowledge how good of a job you've done, but it requires you to pick up the phone and have that conversation.
Sure.
It requires you to, what's that?
It's me. How you doing, Doug? It's Larissa.
Hey, Larissa.
I actually had
Hey, hold on one second. Hey, Dave. Dave, can you do me a favor, Dave? Can you mute your voice, your computer for me?
Sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead, Larissa. Sorry.
Oh, that was better.
Yeah,
I said
a lot
this
better.
week I was able to get a listing agent to give me a referral for a VA loan, and it was because I kept communicating with him throughout the loan process. Every week I would call him, and then I was able to get them the clear to close, and within 20 days, he said, wow, I can't believe you guys actually, 3 weeks before we're supposed to close, we can set a schedule, we can schedule a different date. And when he said how amazing that was, I said, well, great. Do you have anybody else that you want to close just as fast or even faster? And he gave me a referral. And we're meeting next week.
Wow.
Awesome.
So when somebody acknowledges you, when they open the door and say, wow, you did a good job, that is the perfect time to pounce on the opportunity to leverage that relationship. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was great.
And was that uncomfortable or difficult, or was that any way, shape, or form awkward?
No, it was not, but especially because we sort of already have a little bit of a rapport because I had already introduced myself 3 weeks prior, and I kept calling him every week. So, I think it would have been more uncomfortable if I had not called him throughout.
Of course.
That would have been like a stranger. But either way, he would have been saying that it was a good job. I think I still would have said it.
I think any chance that you can to establish a relationship with a listing agent in the beginning and manage that relationship throughout the process, I think it guarantees you a chance to at least ask for an opportunity for a referral or a sit down. Case, and I'm going to politely challenge you and say if you're not connecting with every listing agent that comes across your desk, I think you're going to miss out on a huge opportunity, because it sounds like you're really good with your realtors anyway. It sounds like you could add at least 4 or 5 more listing agents to your transactions, or to your to your list of agents that refer you, based on an experience that they've already had with you. I know that Thor's Hammer is really good, but I think that you could fill Thor's Hammer up with the agents that you get from your listing agents.
Sure.
And I would love to see each of you on the phone. I would love to see each of you that are on this call work on creating stronger relationships with your listing agents. Those are a huge untapped market, and I say this for one reason. We corporately are doing such an amazing job at turning around our files when the LO does their job, that most of the experiences that we're getting are a lot like Larissa's. We're able to close a loan post-trib in under 30 days on government loans because we are doing an exceptionally good job. You guys have the back office and the speak to be able to talk to a listing agent and basically guarantee them certain things because you have such great teams that are supporting you. Larissa, how many purchase transactions do you have in the pipeline right now?
Oh, let me think about this right now. I had one close this week. One's closing next week. The other one's a refi. I think 4, 3 or 4.
And are those listing agents anybody you've done business with in the past?
No.
Okay. Here's the challenge that I would like to pose to you, and I know, Kason, you've got not really a lot in the pipeline. And
I've got 2 closing next week. I've got 2 closing next week. So that's So that's those are the people that I want to reach out to. I haven't reached out to either one of those closing agents.
And I would start off with what you did the first time. Start off with an apology. And start off with an apology from the standpoint of, listen, I've done a horrible job of communicating, to you throughout the process, and that's my fault.
Personally, right? Personally communicating. They have been getting emails and contact from my group, but when I'm my personal conversation. Yep.
So for Dave, and I don't know if Dave has any purchase transactions in the pipeline, but I'd like to challenge you guys to see how many listing agents you can get to refer you a client like Larissa has over the next week. Each of you has an undoubtable level of service that's being provided. Each of you has a tremendous amount of talent when it comes to talking to people. I would want you guys to make the effort to see if you can get a sit down with a listing agent, as well as an opportunity to get a referral. That's a chance to add one more loan that probably is already a pre-approved buyer or a quality buyer to your plate right out of the gates.
Yep.
Larissa, do you think you would have a good chance of getting those 4 agents to sit down with you and or refer you somebody between now and next week?
I think so. Well, one of them is there is no realtors involved, but
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna do this with all my listing agents.
Yeah, because I'm gonna do it with all my listing agents. Is what I'm gonna do is go back through the files that we have.
Here's what the LO down in Jupiter, Florida does, and I'm not saying you got to do this specifically, but it seems to work for him. When he gets a contract, he calls the listing agent and introduces himself. He calls them up and says, "Hi, my name is so and so. Just want to introduce yourself. I've been in the business, blah blah blah. If you need anything, let me know." And then he follows up with them with a $5 Starbucks gift card. And in the card, he writes, "We pride ourselves on guaranteeing on-time closings, period." And then throughout the process, he calls the listing agent at 5 times throughout the process. He calls the listing agent at the point where the contract's received. He calls them at the time that the appraisal has been received, because that's obviously a big conversation piece. He calls the listing agent upon the approval. He calls the listing agent at the time the loan is clear to close, and then he speaks to the agent either at the closing or the day of. If you guys are not making 5 poignant points of contact with the agent, not to disseminate information, give them details of the loan, but to communicate the value of what your team does and how good of a job you do and how much you know that the rest of the industry is sucking wind, you guys are missing a huge opportunity to leverage an untapped market while you're trying to develop either your past clients, your friends and family, or your current clients. Listing agents are literally easy targets for how good of a job you guys are doing in the field. So for all of you that have a computer screen up, complete the sentence, I wish. My hope is I wish each of you is able to get one more listing agent to refer you one more deal between now and next week. But think about how powerful those 5 points of contact are on top of all the email correspondence that you're getting.
Sure.
And if the 30% number holds true, 30% of your leads turn into closable deals. Larissa, you have 3 listing agents. I guarantee you one of those 3 has a referral for you waiting there if you ask. How big was that loan, that VA loan that you got from that listing agent?
$250.
So who wouldn't want a $250,000 loan plopped in their lap for doing a good job?
Oh, I was very happy with it.
Absolutely.
Right? I don't know a single person that says that would be hard to do. See, the motivation behind generating your leads around your relationships means that you can lead with that kind of conversation with the new contacts, whether it be a for sale by owner, whether it be a new listing agent, whether it be a new title company or an attorney. Everyone, if you tell them how you build your business, will recognize that throughout the process. And if you use that in your conversations with the listing agent and the attorney and the title company and whomever, you would be amazed at where your business can come from. Truly amazed where your business can come from. It isn't just from your immediate clients and your immediate realtors. The conversations that we've had about what you say to people should be had with everybody. And every chance that you get to wow somebody, every chance that you get to get somebody to say thank you to you, or man, that nobody's doing that right now, it opens the door for you to go, thanks for noticing. I would love to be put in contact with either a buyer or one of the agents in your office, or if it's a title company, I would love to meet with your sales team to see if there's any realtors out there who I could leverage a relationship with. I mean, the opportunities are endless. Just think a little bit outside the box. All right, guys, that's all I had for today. Congratulations. Hey, Larissa, real quick, how many leads did you get for the month?
I don't know. I'm driving.
Larissa.
Sorry.
Larissa.
I've not been doing a good job on the tracker. I haven't. I have to sit down and backtrack everybody that I've talked to.
Oh,
I think
it's the most exciting part of it's the most exciting part of my day when I get to put it on there.
Oh, absolutely.
I love putting it on there.
I love putting it on. It's a game to me. It's like Connect 4.
Exactly. I had a green bar that I was like, okay, I'm 12 away. How am I getting there faster today?
Yep. Hey, I couldn't agree with you more. Hey, Larissa, I think it's a you and Denise thing.
Denise hasn't been doing it either?
She's not even on the call today, so we're going to have to give her a little grief.
Okay.
So, all right, guys. Hey, Larissa and David, if you guys could please do me a favor, track your leads that you've generated over the last 4 weeks, and I want you guys to send them to me because I have to pick a winner, and I have to pick it in the next couple of days so that you guys can be rewarded.
Okay, and not just for May, so the past 4 weeks, including April.
It should, yeah. We did it from, I think the last class we set it up in was around the 13th or 14th of last month.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, sounds good.
Okay, guys. Have a great weekend. Right. Enjoy your time with your family. Thanks for all of your conversations, and awesome job.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Take care, guys. All right. Bye-bye.